Hey America, it's me, Tam Bayu, and this is my first YouTube live, and I'm in StreamYard, as you can see. And I'm gonna wait a few minutes to see if anybody decides to join me on this beautiful, warm summer day. See if anybody's online and wants to have a little conversation. For those of you who might be new to me, I am a coach. I'm a creative. I am the owner and president of Big Sky Publishing, who publishes the Energy Almanac, which is an astrological book, predictive astrology for those who want it. I have a background in transformational coaching, and I have a lot that is on my mind. And I decided it was time to come and do a YouTube live and see if I can spread the stop. Somebody has joined my show, so welcome to the call, whoever is here, and please do leave a comment so that I can have a conversation with somebody other than myself. I am here today to talk about spreading the stop. And if you're like, what is spreading the stop and what the heck does that mean? Let me tell you that it's the exact opposite of stopping the spread. We are in the throes of quarantine. We are in the throes of COVID-19, which was like saying the F word 6 months ago. Nobody was allowed to say COVID-19. Nobody was allowed to say the China virus. Nobody was allowed to speak negatively about this virus that has taken over our life. So there was the beginning of the end right there, huh? And next thing you know, we're all in quarantine. Sagittarius is inside of Aquarius, and we go into this walls, boundaries, limitations put on us by our government. And I very quickly realized when we went into quarantine that it was a spiritual quarantine, that there was this stirring going on inside of many of us. Not all of us, but certainly many of us. And that we needed to really use quarantine in the best way possible. So, this is gonna be down and dirty a little bit. So I have been awakening to my own spirituality for a long while now. I guess I could say probably since 2000. I've been in the process of my own spiritual awakening and figuring out what is religion, what is spirituality, who or what is God, what does it mean to me? And I found myself doing a lot of really, really deep dives, a lot of really deep work, at least for me. I was at that point, 30 years old, and just sorting through distancing myself from the Catholic Church and then moving into something that I thought was more spiritual. I ended up, and here I am saying something I don't think I've ever said online before. I ended up going into a mystery school. A mystery school is where you go and you learn all the ancient teachings of spirituality. When I went to this mystery school, I would go to this location once or twice a month, and I would start studying about everything from using and opening your third eye to how to use a ritual and what the ritual might be for, and doing different things using my mind, using my heart, trying to connect with God and people and nature and trees and everything. And so I did mystery schools. Well, I never told my teachers who ran the mystery school, but I ended up doing some research on my own. The internet was just a baby back then. My kids were using MySpace and I was using AOL, but I did do some research at the time and ended up seeing some kind of dark stuff, which, to be honest with you, really freaked me out. I was learning about Aleister Crowley. Somehow I ended up in the rabbit hole of Aleister Crowley, who was a spiritual leader in London back in the early 1900s or maybe late 1800s. I don't know the time thing. I didn't stop my spiritual growth at that point, but I certainly got freaked out because there was some darkness attached to the word mystery school. I stayed involved in the learning though, and I ended up developing my own spiritual practices and developing my what my idea of God was. as I was traversing life and just doing life, I started really looking at alternative information. I started reading way back when, 10 or 12 years ago, alternative websites. And I started really taking a good look at who and what America is, the United States of America, and what was really going on behind the scenes. I was having a feeling that something didn't smell right in the kitchen of our government. And I really wanted to understand it. And so I started following people online who were doing a lot of really deep research about some conspiracies. And it involved everything from 9/11 to the CIA and John F. Kennedy. And I saw things and I read things and I heard things and I watched things that were really, really outside of the box. So I kept them to myself. I'm a good little girl and this is my box and this is where I'm going to stay. I don't want people to think I'm weird, right? So I go about my business. I stay watching all of this stuff on the side and I'm looking at what's going on in the kitchen of our government and I'm saying, something's not right. I don't like it, but I'm running a business and I'm running a business that means I have to be normal. So along comes COVID-19 and here we are in a quarantine and wearing masks and the kitchen really stinks and things are just not right. And I know it. And I know it with everything that I am. But now we have a big problem because the spiritual quarantine, or what could have been a spiritual quarantine, has ended up dividing people. And now we have the mask wearers and the non-mask wearers. And now we have the Democrats and we have the Republicans. We have the Trump lovers and then we have the Trump haters. And we have this big fat line that goes right down the middle. And I've been sitting on my hands and I've been biting my tongue and clenching my jaw, trying to be polite and just trying to show up like Switzerland. And just trying to pretend that I'm okay with everything that's going on. And I have to tell you that this live for me here today is to say what I have to say. And that's, I don't believe in what is going on in the world right now. And that I know that there's a better way to get to where we're all trying to go. And I just want to challenge anybody who ends up on this video, whether it's 1 viewer, 2 viewers, or 1,200 viewers. I want to give people a reason to think. I want to challenge you. So I think I named this live New Lens. And why am I talking about a lens? Who cares about the lens? But what I really realize and know to be true, at least from my perspective, is that we are all seeing the world through our own lens, our own history. And I'm going to show you a little exercise that I do with my clients. You take a piece of paper and you can write on it everything that you believe to be true. So let's put this. And I don't like writing this. I don't like writing this one single bit, but I'm going to write it for the sake of the exercise. President Trump is a fraud. We'll call it that. That's what we'll say. President Trump is a fraud. And let's put a little bit of your history behind that. So maybe you were raised a Democrat, the letter D. Maybe your own personal sexual orientation is LGBTQ. And maybe that makes President Trump a bigger fraud. GBTQ. Maybe being of a different race or ethnicity has been an issue for you. So maybe there are race issues from your past. Maybe somebody sneered at you for your race or ethnicity. So that's part of your history. The year that you were born is part of your history. I'm going to put the year that I was born, 1967. And maybe your mom was single. We're going to write that there. Maybe your parents are on Social Security, and we're going to put that there. You have all these different things that have happened in your experience that have quite literally created a filter for you. Your brain is seeing the current situation through the lens of your personal experiences. Your personal experiences, let's go like this, have colored the way you see everything. COVID-19, you might be wearing a mask because you have a history with virus issues. Maybe viruses really affect you. Maybe you know somebody who died of COVID-19. So your fear level is really high. So we could easily put fear on this. You can see the word fear right here. Your lens is colored by your personal experience. Now, that's all good and well, but what would it take for you to clean up your lens so that all of us can get onto the same damn page? What is it going to take for you to be willing to understand why you have fear, to understand why you're a Democrat, to understand why you think race is systemic in our country? What is it going to take for you to take a breath and take a look at your belief systems? And I wonder what really your ceiling is. How much hate, how much anger, how much strife, looting, violence are you going to tolerate before you start to do your own work? I mean it. I mean it. There's a small percentage of people who like to show up and do the work. And what does it mean to do the work? It means to look at your shit, look at your stuff, excuse my French, look at your stuff and see, why is it that I believe that President Trump is going to run Social Security dry? Why is it I believe President Trump isn't a good leader? If I were to believe in the leadership in government, what would that do to me? So what are you afraid to look at, actually? Are you actively looking at and questioning, using critical thinking, the potentials if you didn't believe a certain way? Let's say that you believe that, let's go with this one on President Trump. And I'm saying this in particular because I am a President Trump supporter. And I came into President Trump's presidency not actually knowing how I felt about him. I wasn't sure if he was trustworthy. I wasn't certain what he would do. I didn't know, but because of the way I was raised, it was, you give respect to the office of the President of the United States. So that's ingrained in me, right or wrong. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's how I was raised. So I had to give this president the benefit of the doubt, and I had to let him prove himself to me, right or wrong. I already knew that something didn't smell right in the kitchen, but that didn't mean that I instantly thought President Trump was here to make things right. I just didn't know. So I had to drop my walls and let this president show himself to me. Show me who you are, and show me who you are through a lens that is fair and a lens that is clean. I had to look at my old political beliefs and put them aside and put them in a little box for a while. What would happen to you if you took what you think you believe and put it aside and let new information come at you? Are you afraid to flip? Are you afraid to be wrong? Are you so programmed that you are unwilling to look and see? I want to challenge you with this. Are you so programmed by mainstream media that you're unwilling to connect the dots in a different way? That's my question for you. Because look, this has been going on for too long. If you take the time and you do your critical thinking and you connect the dots, you will find out that we've been strung along for a long damn time. And it's really time for all of us to open our eyes and become the one that we're supposed to be, that we care about each other. I say this a lot when I'm doing my Facebook Live messages. I am who I am because you are who you are. You and I are one. Well, if you're on the other side of something, of an issue, if you're on the other side of an issue and you're conjuring up all these emotions of hate and discontent, and I'm pissed off and what a loser, shooting out into the universe, you're creating uh, something that stinks in the kitchen. You are part of the problem. If you can't clean up your thoughts, then you're part of the problem. So I'm challenging everybody who watches this. Are you willing to take what you believe right now and put it aside and start looking at the facts and start connecting the dots in your own way, whatever is right for you? This is some of the things that I've been watching. And it's so easy to see. It's so easy to see. Tell me why Facebook has banned the hashtag Save the Children. Tell me why. Why can you not use that hashtag on Facebook? Why would Facebook not want to save the children? Isn't that strange? Why is Hollywood silent about saving the children? Why is all of Hollywood not in an uproar about saving sex-trafficked children? It seems fishy. Hollywood was right there for us when it came to Black Lives Matter. Hoorah! They all donated money to people who had looted stores. They all donated to the cause of people who were committing violent acts. They were happy to stand up. They were happy to donate their money, and they got millions and millions and millions and probably billions of dollars. But when little children are being sex trafficked through Hollywood, they're dead silent. Something stinks. And Facebook and Twitter and these platforms, Instagram, they're deciding what they think is right and what's wrong. They're deciding who can say what about what. And you know what, you guys? I'm over it. I'm sick of it. It's wrong. And if we don't stand up against it, what kind of society are we really going to have? And I would dare say one that's really pretty dark. One that's really pretty scary and not anything that I would want to leave to my children or grandchildren. Why, if you haven't already, aren't you looking at these facts? Who owns Facebook? Who funds Facebook? Who owns Twitter? Who funds Twitter? And yeah, sure. Oh, yes, they own it. It's theirs. They can make the rules if they want to. But they set it up as a public platform. And they've made money off the public platform that they promised would be censorship free. And now they censor us. And they don't show you ads for President Trump, and they don't show you ads for Republican senators and congressmen who are fighting for their positions. They don't show you a lot, but you let them. We let them get away with it. Are you aware of the phenomenon called Q? Q is a mysterious team of people who are creating and working through an intelligence plan, and I'm using air quotes for no reason. It's an intelligence-based plan to bring light to the planet, to reveal all the hidden and dark secrets that have been out there. Everything from the aliens that visit us regularly, to the children that are being trafficked, to the drugs that have been forced into America to keep us down and dumb, to the prescriptions that keep us in and over our head, to selling our birth certificates because we're chattel to the elite. Our birth certificates are like chattel. They buy and sell them based on our potential. I am not a piece of meat, thank you very much. And I have zero interest in going on with this charade. If you have questions about this, if you want to comment, if you want to fight this, if you want to have an honest discussion about this, let's go. Put it in the comments. Drop your thoughts, please. The Q phenomenon is followed by some 30 million people. That number has been silenced. People, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they don't want you to know that there's that many people interested in what's happening. Whether they believe it's right or wrong, whether they believe it's real or fake, I have no idea. I have no way of knowing. But I know that I want to believe something different than what I'm witnessing right now. I'm tired of elite politicians telling me to wear a mask or not wear a mask. Last I knew, it was a free country. I am tired of politicians lying to our face and trying to make us think whatever it is they want us to think. I want to challenge you to be willing to think outside your normal box. If you normally hate President Trump, I'm asking you to put it in a box and for a week, just follow the thread of some other stuff. Put your hate aside and just look at some other stuff. Look at it through a fair lens. Why can't you see his ads? Why can't you hear through a lens of, well, those reporters are really poking at him in a way that doesn't seem fair. Have you noticed that the journalists at the press conferences, they don't ask him real questions based on facts. They harass him and they try to trap him into saying something wrong. Have you noticed that if CNN has a line, President Trump is a fraud, then they're all saying it? There's like one talking point, and all day long you can hear the same talking point said by different mainstream media groups. It's bizarre. It's not normal. Have you noticed that they clip videos so they only show you the portion that will fit their narrative? It's not right. And it's not right in a way that is affecting and dividing our country. And I'm ready to be part of a solution. I'm ready to find a solution to this. And if that means shaking up a few people and people disliking my opinion, I'm going to be okay with it because I'm not Switzerland anymore. I'm just not. I'm going to come out and tell you that I believe we have been led down a really bad path. And I want you to challenge your own belief systems, and I want you to challenge the ceiling. I want you to challenge your own ceiling and be willing to bust through for the greater good of everybody that is involved with awakening. I'm not woke. Hell no. I'm not woke. I'm awakened. I know that God has a bigger plan for us and that it involves unity and it involves the coming together of people. I'm awakened and I'm willing to see what I don't want to see. And that's tunnels under big cities with children in them. And I'm willing to know that Satanism is real. Do you know that coming to that truth in my mind was so disturbing that I cried for a few days? Like, Satan is real. I never knew that. But it's alive and it's well, and it's in the top of our politics, and it's at the top of Hollywood. It's at the top of all of our businesses. Go ahead and look up how many CEOs have resigned. Thousands. Tens of thousands of CEOs have resigned. Why? Because their companies are crooked. Somebody had to come in and clean up the mess. I challenge you to look at President Trump as somebody who's here to clean up the mess. I'm just challenging you. You may completely disagree, but if you honestly put your stuff in a box and you look at the many things that he's done right, not saying he's got it all right, because it's not always a very beautiful delivery. I know the delivery is raw. I know that it's crass, but you know what? You don't bring a sheep into a wolf den to correct it and to clean it up. You don't do that. You bring in something big and ugly that will scare the wolves. And that's what's going down. If he'd have showed up all meek and mild and politically correct, where would we be today? I challenge you to think about it. Please consider it. It's time for some critical thinking. And that's your big challenge. Change your lens. Apply critical thinking to everything that you see that's going on in the world today. Your mind is about to be blown. Heroes become zeros in 2020. And you're going to have to unlearn a lot. You're going to have to be willing to be unprogrammed, because cognitive dissonance is a thing. Cognitive dissonance is when your brain literally cannot fathom or wrap itself around an idea because it's so far outside of your thinking. What if you wake up one day and discover that everything you thought you knew has been wrong? You better be willing to go there. I'm telling you, you better be willing to go there. This is a biblical event that we're living in. These are biblical times. These are the end times. These are the end times. The fire and brimstone, you're living it. It's exciting. I'm happy to be here. And I realized there's no room for Switzerland right now. You have to stand up and be counted. And so that's what I'm doing in this call today. And I'm inviting you to stand up and be counted, but be willing to challenge your own beliefs. And I want to say that I challenge my own as well. I'm doing the work. I'm looking at both sides. I'm checking on CNN, checking on Joe Biden, checking on other ideas, checking to see if I'm right or wrong. Look, the astrology for the rest of the year is pretty rough. We've got a lot of Mars energy bumping up against the planets that were inside of Capricorn. Remember that Capricorn is all that father energy, that old heritage type energy. It's that heavy energy of discipline and order and structure. It rules big business and institutions. And there's a lot of planets there. And here comes Mars to bump up against it. Right now, Mars is inside of Aries in its home sign, and Mars inside of Aries is like a freight train. It's a lot of energy, and it's going fast, and it's going to do what it's going to do. You need to harness your Mars for the best way possible. Here's something that you can do. Pull up your natal astrology chart. You don't have to be an astrologer to do this. Just go to a website, type in your birth information. When your chart comes up, read the actual words and find out Mars inside of maybe Virgo, maybe Mars inside of Aries, whatever. Find which zodiac sign your Mars is in, and that's going to indicate to you how your Mars energy is going to show up. And let me tell you, let me share with you, my Mars is inside of Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules adventure. It involves travel, and it involves belief systems, theology, philosophy. It's about belief systems. Mars is giving me the energy to come up and speak to you about what I believe. And it's time for me to just come out of my own closet and just share what I believe. And if you were to look at my natal astrology chart, you would see lots of markers that indicate I'm here to speak the truth. Of course, it's going to be my truth because I'm having a lens as well. But applying the astrology in a way that will improve the world is where it's at. So how are you going to use your Mars energy? Be aware that for everybody who's not awakening and not willing to look at this kind of work, they're going to take their Mars energy and they're going to apply it to aggression and war and divisiveness and passion. I mean, Mars is about passion. So applying passion in a negative way can come off as very warlike, and it's a fighting energy, and it's a me first, my ideas first energy. Mars can also be used for courage and bravery. And I feel like that's where I'm at today. It took me a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to say, I'm going to say all this stuff today. I'm going to just get it off my chest. We have an opportunity. We are becoming truly deeply spiritual beings, really crystalline beings, crystallized, where we can emit vibrations better and stronger than ever before. And we can ask and receive just like that. We are going to be able to alchemize everything. And quite literally, you will notice how thin the veil is. When you think of something, it's going to show up. And I can't even tell you how fast it's going to show up. For me, it's happening almost within the hour. If I think of it within the hour, it'll happen. If you want to alchemize that in a way that will benefit the planet, then you really have to start looking at your stuff. You got to look at your filter and find out if it's serving you or not. I can be completely wrong about everything. I can be wrong about President Trump. I can be wrong about my belief systems. I can be wrong about spirituality. I can be completely wrong. But here's the deal. You have to challenge it. You have to apply your critical thinking. You need to decide for yourself. All right. So there's some undoing. There's some unraveling, some unprogramming that has to happen. I always wish you well on your journey, but it's time to start looking at stuff. Science has been bought and paid for. It's all been in the bag for a really long time. And censorship is a thing, and it's alive and well in the United States of America. And you are under the thumb of some very satanic and wealthy individuals. And the network is bigger than you think. The network is much bigger than you think. And some millions of people go missing every year and are trafficked. And they deserve our light, and they deserve our love, and they deserve us to care enough to challenge our own thinking and to break through your own ceiling. So I'm going to wrap this up because I've gone on long enough. What is it you don't want to face? If you believe differently, if you are willing to believe differently, what would that mean to you? Where would it break you down? You're safe. I will tell you, you're safe. You can awaken as well. No, this doesn't mean I'm better than you, or those who are awake are better than anybody else, because it's not that at all. But what I am saying is that you have the opportunity to rise. You have the opportunity to unite. Black Lives Matter, sure. All lives matter. If you have to put a color in it just confuses things. Lives matter. And that includes the children that are taken, and the young boys and young people that are taken and used for illicit acts. It's sad, and we need to come together. And that's where I'm at. And I don't know what my next podcast will be about, but I want to spread the stop. I want to stop believing everything my mainstream media tells me. I want to stop believing what Facebook tells me. And I want to think for myself. I want to stop the fear, because fear will break down your immune system faster than anything. And then you'll end up with the COVID, if that's what you think. You receive what you believe, and there's no bigger truth than that. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Ask and receive. And that's how the world works. And I want to spread the stop of the fear, the stop of the division and the divisiveness, and stop all the anger and the resentment that's gone on in the world. I got nothing else for you. I am Tam, and Tam I am. I am what I am because you are who you are. You and I are one. Thanks.